The Democratic Party has ended its protest at the National Assembly. Ministers say they expect the Korean economy to start recovering from the second half of this year. And a Japanese document dating back to the 50s has been found which says Tokdo is not Japanese. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, the 5th of January. I'm Nemo Kim. The main opposition Democratic Party has ended its sit-in protest outside the National Assembly's main chamber. The party had been protesting the ruling GMP's attempt to railroad bills. Both sides are now likely to start talking. Here are the details.
The main opposition Democratic Party has ended its sit-in protest in front of the National Assembly main chamber. The lawmakers disbanded 11 days after they forced their way into the main chamber December 26.
민주당은 김영호 국회의장의 뜻을 존중하여 본회의장 앞 로텐다울 농성을 해제하기로 결정하였습니다.
But the occupation of the main chamber and standing committee offices continues. A withdrawal will depend on the bipartisan negotiation process. The ruling Grand National Party says the violence has partially ended. But the party says order has not been restored in all parts of the assembly and urged the Democratic Party to stop its protest. Both sides are likely to start negotiating now that several opposition members have withdrawn. To push along the talks, National Assembly Speaker Kim Hyung-oh says he will not open more extra sessions without a bipartisan agreement.
국민의 눈에 보기에 합당했습니까? 제대로 일한다고 봤습니까? 임시국회 아무 합의 없이 임시국회 또 열면 뭐합니까?
But other factors could still scuttle the talks. Hardliners in both camps could launch their own protests. The ruling party might also reject former presidential candidate Moon Guk-hyun as a negotiating partner. Critics say both sides must reach a compromise to avoid more delays in parliamentary proceedings.
Ministers say they expect the Korean economy to recover from this year's latter half. Korea saw a minus growth in last year's fourth quarter. Here's more on what the ministers said.
Minister of Strategy and Finance Kang Man-soo said the Korean economy had begun a minus growth in the fourth quarter of last year. This is the first time for the government to officially announce a minus growth.
4분기에 지금 그 마이너스 성장으로 돌아섰습니다. 정말로 참 걱정이 많이 됩니다.
But Kang said Korea's financial situation is still in fairly good condition and said the government will take all measures such as expanding its fiscal spending if necessary. Korea's top economic policymaker said the South Korean economy is likely to recover gradually from a slump as early as the second half of this year. Minister of Land, Transportation and Maritime Affairs Chung Jong-hwan said housing prices will drop from 5 to 10% in the first half, but will rise under the government's policy in the second half. Labor Minister Lee Young-hee said the term for part-time workers will be extended from 2 to 4 years to prevent mass layoffs. Lee also added that laying off regular workers should be more accessible as that of part-time workers to mitigate discrimination.
Korea is to unveil this year a satellite launch vehicle made with Korean technology. And with this, Korea is hoping to compete in the global space race.
A 33-meter-high launch pad stands on the hill of the Gohung Peninsula in South Jeolla Province. This is the first rocket launch pad made with Korean technology. This is where KSLV-1, Korea's first small satellite launch vehicle, will be sent up into space in the first half of the year. The projectile is also nearing completion. KSLV-1 consists of a launch vehicle jointly developed with Russia and an engine and a satellite in the upper part. The measurements are 33 meters high and 140 tons heavy. More than 72% of performance tests have been completed. The remaining tests will end next month.
Сейчас мы приехали сюда не на эти испытания. Мы приехали по другое С другой задачей.
The upper part of the launch vehicle was made purely with Korean technology. This is where the Science and Technology Satellite number 2 will be loaded. The vehicle will fly up to 170 kilometers with the thrust from the launch vehicle. Then the second stage launch vehicle will put the satellite into orbit at an altitude of 300 kilometers.
우리나라 그 기술을 갖다 외국에 널리 알릴 수도 있고 또한 우리 메이드 인 코리아라는 그 상품 가치가 상당히 높이 평가돼 갖고 세계적으로.
Korea hopes to enter the global space race with the launch of the science satellite.
In the dispute over the Dokdo Islets, Japan claims that the islets are Japanese territory, but a Japanese document has been found which says otherwise. 5 decades ago, Japanese government had proclaimed that the islets were excluded from Japanese jurisdiction.
These papers are confidential Japanese files on a meeting between Korea and Japan. Families of victims of the Pacific War obtained the documents after a lawsuit against the Japanese government. But most of the important parts are covered up with ink. While trying to find out what had been wiped out, the lawyer in charge of the case found a crucial passage regarding the Dokdo Islets. It's the Ordinance number 24 that the former Prime Minister established in 1951 to organize the post-war possessions of the Japanese general government after the World War II. The ordinance states that the islands Japan had colonized, including Ulleung, Jeju, or Dokdo, will be excluded from Japanese control. Another special ordinance on pensions also states that the law does not apply to the Dokdo Islets. In the post-war period, the Japanese government had excluded the islets from its territory.
국내법에서 독도를 자국의 부속도서 이외의 섬으로 취급을 했기 때문에 자국의 고유 영토가 아니라는 사실이 이 문서로 밝혀진 겁니다.
The Korean government says it will use the documentations to prove that the Dokdo Islets are part of Korea, not Japan.
This year, 2009, is the year of the ox, according to the Chinese zodiac. Jeju Island sees this year as an occasion to raise the quality and brand awareness of its indigenous black cattle.
Traditional black cattle of Jeju Island strut their stuff on the snow-covered plains. Jeju black cattle is known for high-quality meat and rich flavor. The meat used to be offered to kings. But the black cattle almost went extinct in the 1970s when it was crossbred with foreign cows. It was resurrected after the government named it a protected species in the 1990s. The National Institute of Animal Science says Jeju black cattle contains more unsaturated fatty acids and less saturated fatty acids than other domestic cattle species. Beef from the black cattle is especially sought after for its excellent marbling, which makes the meat more tender and savory.
전통성과 희소성과 육질의 우수성을 갖고 있는 이러한 흑우를 수입산과 타도산과 차별화함으로써 우위를 확보할 수 있는
Cutting-edge breeding technology is helping to upgrade the quality and brand power of Jeju black cattle.
Korean climber Kim Hong-bin has scaled Vinson Massif, the highest summit in Antarctica. His achievement is even more noteworthy because he is the world's first disabled climber to scale all of the top summits in 7 continents.
Climber Kim Hong-bin, who has lost all of his fingers, has done it again. He has scaled nearly 5,000-meter-high Vinson Massif, the tallest peak in Antarctica. It was a life-threatening challenge as the annual average temperature there plummets to nearly 50 degrees Celsius below zero. But Kim succeeded in scaling the mountain, completing his conquest of top peaks in 7 continents. He started the quest in 1997 with his first climb of Elbrus, the highest summit in Europe. It took him 12 years to set the grand record. He lost all his fingers to frostbite when he got lost during an expedition to Mount McKinley in North America in 1991. It was a career-ending injury for a mountaineer, but he refused to give up. Other climbers have also accomplished the conquests of highest peaks in 7 continents, but Kim's achievement is more meaningful due to his disability. He is the world's first disabled climber to do so. Kim's challenge does not end here. He will go on until he scales 14 peaks, 8,000 meters or taller.
Korean art lovers now have the rare opportunity to see works by world-renowned artists. Exhibitions featuring works by Camille Pissarro, Joan Miro and Rembrandt are being held in Korea, in addition to one from the Pompidou Center in Paris.
The scene of a garden on a rainy day is characterized by gentle brush touches. Purple is used to describe a capricious sky. Blue dots form a scene of a quiet country where Impressionist Camille Pissarro raised his 5 sons to become artists. Pissarro is called the father of the Impressionist school. He depicted rural scenes in a simple and restrained way.
밖으로 나가서 빛에 의해서 우리가 주변 풍경을 어떻게 인식하는지, 그리고 특히 우리 주변의 일상적인 풍경을 어떻게 그려야 하는지를 고민한 가장 첫 번째 사람이 아닐까 생각되고요.
Objects are simplified and described with clear and vivid colors in this surrealistic picture. Juan Miro often drew birds, stars, and women. Everything in modern art symbolized by abstraction is condensed in his works.
항상 고국을 떠나 있고 이방인의 그 형태를 가지고 있기 때문에 미로가 꿈꾸는 세계는 이제 고향의 모습이면서도 새로운 이상향 그런 걸 추구했거든요.
Grand exhibitions of works by artists in the Baroque age and the 17th and 18th centuries are drawing Korean art fans.
Ice climbing is a thrilling way to have some fun in winter. Many ice climbers say they do it for the thrill and also for a sense of achievement. Here's more.
The biting winter winds have frozen up this giant 90-meter-high ice cliff. People begin their challenge up the largest ice cliff in Korea. Relying on a single rope, they slowly take one step at a time while they keep slipping and bumping. There are some close calls. But the joy of accomplishment after reaching the top is indescribable.
얼음 파편이 얼굴에 튈 때 정말 이 짜릿하고 안 해본 사람은 진짜 말로 설명할 수 없을 정도로.
Missing fingers may make climbing more difficult, but this has never deterred the climber from getting to the top. Climbers are also thrilled at the Kugok Fall in Chuncheon. People come to challenge the ice cliff and make their New Year's resolutions.
정말 어려워 보이는 저 빙벽을 타시는 분들 보니까 저도 이제 사회 초년생으로서 한번 이제 멋있게 도전해 보고 싶고.
Ice cliff climbing is a good way to spend a freezing cold winter learning how to deal with a challenge in your lives.
Many Korean TV dramas and films are noted for their beautiful settings. Here are some film locations in Korea famous for their breathtaking scenery. It looks like the real Panmunjom, but this is just a set made for the film JSA. Here at the Namyangju Filming Complex in Gyeonggi Province, visitors can walk right into their favorite movie scenes. Just steps away from Panmunjom is a set made for a scene right out of the Joseon dynasty. This was a setting for the acclaimed film Chiwason. The place has a market from the late 19th century and even traditional houses with thatched roofs. Some visitors even try out torturing devices and pretend to get flogged.
아파요. 이거 옷 벗고 진짜 엉덩이 맞으면 아프겠는데요?
Indoor exhibits are also interesting. Visitors can see the personal belongings of famous directors in the Filmmakers Hall of Fame. At the animation set, production process is shown in detail with assorted miniatures. Visitors can create movie sound effects in the recording studio by using tools or their own bodies. The sound of a car door closing is made by shutting the lid of a rice cooker. Running on the tape makes the same sound as running across the grass.
영화 촬영이 제가 그냥 관객으로서 영화를 볼 때랑 달리 되게 세세한 부분은 되게 여러 가지 과정이 있고 쉽지 않은 일이구나 이렇게 느껴지네요.
This is Gapyeong, a charming village decorated in red and white. This place has become quite popular recently after an acclaimed music drama was shot here. Visitors have a great time pretending to be the drama's leading character.
좀 보고 있었어요. 오늘 지휘가 있어가지고.
This place was originally established to provide experience of French culture. French-influenced venues and props can be spotted everywhere. The Orgel House is the hottest attraction here. It has on display a wide variety of rare orgels.
펜시점에서 보는 좀 작은 오르골만 듣다가 이게 직접 설명 듣고 이게 총 크고 웅장한 음악 듣고 해서 굉장히 좋았습니다. 아름다운 소리였어요.
Visitors can enjoy live performances on the stage and the musical The Little Prince at the theatre. A special two-story house stands along this path in Mount Pugak. It appeared on a hit TV show. The house was turned into a cafe when the drama's popularity brought a large number of people here. All around the cafe, scenes from the drama are kept alive with videos, photos and props from the show.
그냥 혼자 와도 이야기거리가 있어가지고 재미있어서 지켜봐도 지루하지 않네요. 소품 하나하나 굉장히 많이 신경을 쓴 것 같고.
Big windows looking out into the garden allow visitors to take in the beauty of nature and the spectacular sight of Mount Pugak and Seoul. These places are perfect destinations when you want to escape from the mundane everyday life and star in a TV show or a movie. And now let's check out today's economic indicators, followed by world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Join me tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching.